Hi everyone, I've got another amazing Alireza game for you today. Now I've been finding these games on an awesome article published by a national master called Anthony Levin. This is actually the #1 most brilliant move on that article. So these games were found by looking through the database on chess.com, and where they've got that game review tool, you can look for !exclam moves by the engine. So it brings back these games. This is #1. It's only 19 moves, but it's just really beautiful, an epic crush. So his opponent here, playing with white, Mukin 1, was Aram Hakobian. Now when I looked him up, he's a young Armenian GM, 21 years old, but really strong player, great at blitz. So this one's awesome. By the way, the reason I'm wearing this hat again, if you see me wearing this hat, it's because there's something funky going on with my hair. I actually need to get a haircut soon. So that piece aside, that's why I'm wearing the hat. I had some people asking me what the P stands for, and I was saying on the comment, if you ask my wife, it stands for all manner of things. It's actually amazing how many swear words start with the letter P when you actually start trying to work that one out. Anyway, we'll do that piece aside, but it actually stands for Puma. That's what it's meant to stand for. So we'll look at this game now. So Alireza with black here. White kicks off with e4. He goes pawn to c5 here. And now knight c3, not the standard knight f3 stuff, open game. Instead, we had d6 now from Alireza and pawn g3, this fianchetto system. Bobby Fischer used to do a lot of this. It can be very dangerous if black's not careful. So knight c6, the bishop came to g2, pawn g6, and this is an instructive moment now. So the knight comes to e2 here, and it leaves the bishop actually open down this diagonal. I mean, blocked by a pawn right now, but it's not also blocked by the knight. Plus, the pawn can now come to f4 in one go. So Alireza goes bishop to g7 now, castles from white, and now knight to f6. So I know I just talked about blocking bishops. Of course, it's okay to block bishops at times, but you just need to be aware when you're doing that. How would you now open this bishop soon? Is this knight going to come to d7, e5 or c5? Always be thinking about that with your bishops. So d3 now from white. And here Alireza just goes full Alireza mode. He doesn't go for a standard castle moves. He goes super aggressive here. So pawn to h5, just attacking that white king. Classic move from him. And now here white goes wrong already actually. So the best move here is pawn to h3. So that if black now carries on like this, you can go g4, and this is a pretty good pawn structure for white. You've shut down black. You can still get f4 in. Good game. So Alireza wouldn't have pushed on probably. He would have played something different, but that was the way to go. Instead, f4 was played, but now Alireza's play is fully justified because he can get h4 in using this pawn as a kind of hook to rip open the position, and this is now dangerous for white. And here white goes wrong, plays bishop e3, that becomes a tactical liability, but the best move here is kind of counterintuitive. It's actually taking that pawn. You wouldn't normally do this and split your structure. Now after the rook recaptures, you can then go queen to e1 here. You hit the rook, it drops back, and okay, you can maybe get some kind of defensive setup going, things coming out here, pawn to f5. Black's still actually better, but it was the best way to go. But the pawn wasn't captured. Instead, bishop to e3 developing, but now Alireza captures here, and it's a tough decision for white. Now, recaptures with the knight was played. This looks kind of more logical, keeping the pawn structure together, but white just got really scared of opening the h-file. Bishop h3 could come, for example. Let's say you captured, rook takes, king g2, preparing to challenge the file, queen d7 holds. And okay, the game goes on, white can challenge the file, black can castle and that kind of thing, after an exchange on h1 that is. But black's still doing quite well. You've got this g4 square for the knight, better for black. So we didn't have the pawn capturing, opening the h-file, white got a bit spooked, captured with the knight here, but this is actually just tactically bad, because knight g4 and you simply hit two pieces. You have to save the bishop here, so it dropped back to f2, but now Alireza takes the pawn. His whole attack is just crashing through, of course. So rook to e1 was played, saving that rook on e1, f1 rather. Now the bishop came to g4, hitting the queen, just killing it on those light squares. It came up to d2, and now simple move, knight f3 check, forks king and queen, so it forces this one to capture, bishop takes back, and now the h-file is cleared for the rook, the bishop's cutting down, we can see how dangerous this is already. So the queen came to e3, it hit that bishop, but the knight simply defended, and here white just had to start challenging that one on d4. I mean, white goes this one to defend this pawn from a fork, but really you should come back here, challenge this piece which is holding the bishop, so probably bishop would drop back here, then you can chop this one off, okay, you can capture with pawn or bishop, game goes on, black's a lot better, winning the position, but it was the best defensive try. But instead of dropping the knight back, the rook covered this pawn, and now Alireza just plays an awesome move here. Now what you need to understand here is that black wants to transfer this queen to the h-file because then it can support mating attacks. And there's really two key ways to do this. One is going e5, that's the computer's favourite move. You free up this one here. But what Alireza did is just really beautiful, more aesthetically pleasing in a way. He just goes king to d7 here, nudging it off to the side. This is the double exclam move that Anthony Levin picked out. And now after that king moves away, you really just can't stop this attack. So we had pawn to e5, trying to get some play going in the centre. But now Alireza breaks through. There were a couple of decent moves, but this one is the most beautiful. He checks here on h1. The knight is forced to recapture, and then he brings the queen to the h-file. He's given that entire rook here. Now he's threatening to mate on h1, so the knight has to move, and then the queen comes in. And checkmate on g2 is just absolutely unavoidable. How do you stop that one? Well, you can't. You have to go, say, e6 check, just stave it off for one move. And here, really, you have to actually give the queen. That's what the best one is. Although, actually, then this is still mating. No, you had to give the queen back here, sorry. When the knight's on g1, you give the queen here. So, yeah, the whole thing is just busted. This was the final position here. After queen h3, white resigned, checkmate's unavoidable. So I hope you enjoyed this game. If you want to see Alireza's immortal queen sack against Daniel Naroditsky, click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.